So I'm Christian,
I'm Liam.
and this is our vitamin and mineral project. Our vitamin is B12. So what is vitamin B12? It's a water-soluble vitamin, meaning that it's able to dissolve in water in the metabolism of every cell of the human body. So every cell is going to have this vitamin in some way, shape, or form, um, metabolizing or substances within it. Cofactor. It's a cofactor in DNA synthesis, so it's there to help push along the the reactions needed to make DNA. It aids in fatty acid and amino acid metabolism. It helps break, in other words, it helps break down or create ATP energy from fatty acids or proteins, otherwise known as amino acids. Um, it synthesizes myelin, which is the almost like a lubricated sheath that goes around the axons of a neuron, and it allows neurotransmitters and signals to travel faster throughout the body. The more myelin it has on it, the faster generally is the rule. It aids in creation of red blood cells in the bone marrow. Um, it absorbs folic acid to provide energy, and that again is part of the metabolism. It's going to absorb and form with this folic acid um, to help push along reactions, and it regulates brain function. It's crucial for brain function. It B12 has four variations to it. There's methylcobalamin, cyanocobalamin, hydroxycobalamin, and adenosylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin is preferred in the human body because it's the most active form. It converts another chemical in the body called homocysteine into methionine, which protects the cardiovascular system. It can cross the blood-brain barrier without assistance, and that's what allows it to protect the nervous system and help with the myelination process. It also contributes essential methyl groups needed for detoxification to start the body's biochemical reactions. Cyanocobalamin is a man-made form of vitamin B12, generally used as a prescription method of B12 supplementation for people with low B12. Adenosylcobalamin is required in the citric acid cycle to create energy. It's a precursor for one of the intermediates. It's the least stable variation, and this is why it's generally not found in supplementation because of the stability or lack thereof stability.
Good sources of B12 are mainly from animal products, so beef, pork, poultry, lamb, fish, especially the haddock and tuna, and dairy. The intake recommendations for B12 vary based on age. From 0 to 6 months, you only need 0.4 micrograms. From 7 to 12 months, you get 1.1 microgram higher, and it is 0.5 micrograms. 1 to 3 years of age, it is 0.9 micrograms. 4 to 8 years, it is 1.2 micrograms. 9 to 13 years, 1.8 micrograms, and 14 years and older, it's 2.4 micrograms for both males and females, and then for pregnant women, it is 2.6 micrograms, and for lactating women, it is 2.8 micrograms.
Some certain B12 concentration in foods. It's just a chart you look at. It's in micrograms of B12 per 100 grams. So it's a small amount, but if you portion it right, you can get what you need throughout the day. And the real heavy hitters are the pan-fried beef, the turkey giblets, pork liver sausage, and even oysters. We see what we usually eat on a daily basis um, is some cheese, beef, eggs, cow milk, and chicken breast. They're all relatively low in B12 compared to the liver of the beef or the pork, or even the oysters or the king crab. Symptoms of deficiency for B12 are depression, fatigue, constipation, loss of appetite, and weight loss. Um, if deficiency persists, then it can lead to neurological changes such as numbness and tingling in the hands and feet. And this is because of the myelination that B12, B12 is known for. If there's a decrease in that B12, it can severely impact the nerves. As going on to this next talking point, serious risk of permanent nerve and brain damage can happen if it does go unnoticed for a longer period of time, or if you just have a chronic case of B12, which is essentially a long period of time without going to the doctor and getting blood drawn. It can lead to a higher risk of psychosis, mania, or dementia. So further brain issues that can be avoided with proper B12 supplementation or just B12 intake. You can have anemia, swollen tongue, cognitive difficulties, memory, confusion. This could feel like you maybe have gotten a concussion or some other traumatic brain injury. But if you haven't hit your head in a period of time, then something is obviously wrong. You need to get it checked out. And the only way to get this corrected is to do a blood test, and that needs to be ordered to determine if you have that deficiency or if you do not have that deficiency.
An excess of B12 is not really common. Excesses have not been demonstrated toxic or harmful. Even upwards of 1,000 micrograms have not shown to cause harm. The general rule of thumb, too much of anything can be bad. Just because they haven't found anything yet doesn't mean there isn't anything that is bad for you in the B12 in the future. No adverse effects have been associated with excess B12 intake from food or supplements in healthy individuals. There is very weak evidence from animal studies suggesting that B12 intake enhances the carcinogenesis of certain chemicals. Because of the risks when it comes to deficiencies of vitamin B12, exercise can be greatly detrimental to performance. And it's important for nerve health. Without it, nerves aren't as responsive and could possibly not function if deficiency is chronic. The book also says there is a scarcity of data on vitamin B12 and athletic performance. There was an article written in 1993 that said existing evidence suggests that vitamin B12 supplementation has no effect on performance.